of about 20 companies. The first one that grew 10 times in size in the last year is called Toda.Network Financial. They're basically building more like a bank of the future where each and every one of you can become a bank. And that company is providing a challenge here. There's another company that is just onboarding, it's called Mimic, which provides distributed computing, you can monetize it. Both of them, they have challenges. The first one is Toda.Network that I would like to present you with Hassan Khan, the CEO of Toda.Network Financial. Thank you.
Thank you, Dom, the entire DevCamp team, everyone here. It's fantastic. I landed about a short hour and a little bit ago from Canada. I've got to tell you, this is, at least at this hour, a much nicer place. We still got a bit of snow and mess up there. So, as Tufi had said, the opportunity is tremendous, and there's been a lot of talk to say, how far away is it? 3 years, 5 years, 10, 20, never. I'm here to tell you it's actually this year, and we're extremely proud and pleased to be able to sponsor and support this effort. But more importantly, I'm actually here to ask for your help, because we need it urgently. Here's what ended up happening. For 3 years, we didn't advertise, we didn't engage the blockchain community, we went out to the real economy, and to real society and businesses and governments. And we met two groups. There was one where they knew nothing about blockchain and decentralized technology and they were skeptical, and there was a second group where they knew a ton about it and they were skeptical. So we spent 3 hard years bashing our head against the wall and shoveling to get them to go deep into this and get convinced that it was real and that it could be done. And in the beginning it felt a little hopeless and frustrating. I probably did 250,000 miles each year. Sometimes I didn't know where I was or who I was talking to. It was just forward, always forward. And then suddenly it started picking up. It started going faster. And then I suddenly stopped and we all looked at each other and like, wow, we need help, we need horsepower. So here's what's happening. Toda.Network is a bank of the future, and what the hell does that mean? Often with banks, it just means that they're sticking some APIs in mobile and getting rid of people. I'll give you a different definition. The simple old definition of a bank is a bank takes your deposits, it puts it into an account, and it's given authority to create more money that it lends out in the form of debt for interest. And around all that, it charges you a bunch of transaction and investment services with extremely high fees. And the whole thing is an intermediary setup from front to back. In the world that Tufi was describing, none of that makes any sense. Toda.Network as a bank of the future says you're going to own your assets. You're going to be able to transact peer-to-peer with anyone on earth with anything you want and settle it in under a minute for no fees, because there's no cost base, so you don't need to charge the fees. And Toda.Network provides the value-added service to make trade and building and commerce happen in the places where it's truly needed. And you've got a choice as to whether you want to consume them. You're not forced down that channel. And that is a true bank of the future. Our clients right now are large companies in the education, energy, resources, infrastructure, healthcare, retail, sharing economy space. And what we're starting to do this year with the first 6 projects, with about twice as much after that, is start to deploy into supply chains, consumer solutions, societal solutions. And that, even this year, stretches across Korea, Singapore, Thailand, the UAE, Namibia, the UK, Canada, Caribbean, and at least 2 or 3 countries that I just literally can't remember. And did I say at the beginning of this that we need some help? I think I did. What's happening is we are going and deploying out. In each of these markets, you're going to end up with a community and ecosystem and a market that grows very, very quickly. And they're going to need smart, motivated, tenacious, creative people and teams to fill that gap. So let's imagine for a second. You have a factory, and this is not hypothetical. We're doing 2 projects that follow exactly this model. Everyone's always concerned about healthcare. I think in Canada it's a thing, and in the US it's obviously a big issue. In fact, everywhere. So imagine this. A drug, the generic set of drugs that are affordable are produced in a factory in India. That asset is put on the Toda protocol, and as it flows out from that factory, because it's part of this large company that has integrated health networks and hospitals and pharmacies, those drugs flow across the ocean on ships and on planes, and they end up in distribution centers in Africa and the Caribbean and elsewhere. And then from there, smaller amounts of that drug flow into a hospital or a pharmacy, and they end up on a stock shelf. And all of those records then flow on the Toda protocol. A patient walks in with a prescription on their phone that is also on that protocol, which means that it's their own personal patient record. As they order their prescription, that 20 pills that might have come from a batch of 1 million is then registered on their patient record. And you know exactly which factory, which batch it came from with absolute immutability, and it costs you fractions of a penny to do it. I'm describing something that is literally impossible today, and I'm going to make it even wilder. Because it is a public technology, the asset itself doesn't care about a company silo or a country. It goes with whoever owns it. So the patient walks out of the hospital because they took some anti-malarial pills, and 3 days later, in terms of this 10-day course, they have a fever. And they walk into the nearest clinic, and there's a doctor there who doesn't know the hospital network or Toda or anyone from Adam. The doctor goes and spends 20 seconds downloading a piece of software from the internet onto their phone, and they use that to verify the patient record that the patient chooses to show the doctor. And they append the therapeutic treatment that they provided onto that, which that patient can then go and take anywhere on earth and show with the same kind of verification. What I'm describing to you, apart from cutting out a massive amount of intermediary costs, is completely killing, as an example, the forged and fraudulent drug market, which costs billions. And it's actually even more of an acute problem in economies where they're less developed, because there's less ability to be able to counter that kind of abuse. You've got a far better ability to have better patient and health outcomes. Because every time someone walks into a clinic or a hospital or gets in front of a healthcare practitioner, they're carrying their entire history with them, which they own and control. We are doing the equivalent of that in mining, in education, with educational content and certifications, and across every single sector you can think of. But Toda just does the platform and providing the finance and insurance part of it. There is a whole host of other solutions that we need. And what you're going to find in the corporate challenges that Toda is offering is 2 of those. And one is called Box is bananas, and the other one's called Alice is anti-malarial antibiotics. And they're 2 very interesting challenges. And the nice part about that is any team that chooses to build on the Toda as a service platform that we have created to take that Toda protocol and implement it into actual reality. Apart from getting a chance to build some really cool problems, anyone who chooses to do it gets a mobile wallet with $25 worth of a US dollar-backed digital asset called a Toda.Network we'll put in it that you can transact peer-to-peer with anyone you want. If you choose to do one of those 2 corporate challenges, you won't get 25, you'll get 50. And if you win the corporate challenge, there's a $2,000 prize for the team in that same form. Plus, even more importantly, what we want to do is take you and your solution to the markets where it counts this year. So this is not hypothetical, this is not CryptoKitties. This is stuff that counts for real people. I'm also really, as a last thing, just want to introduce a few folks on the team. Obviously, Tufi and Dan, who are 2 of our Toda co-founders. We have Adam, who's there in the back, our CTO, who's been leading the charge at turning this into reality. And we also have George, one of our lead developers, who slaved away over 2 years, so we decided to bring him out. Where is he? There he is. Everyone say hi to George. He's there on the back. Fantastic. So, very excited to have that happen. At 11 a.m. tomorrow, Tufi and I will be talking, Tufi will be talking about how to be sexy, and I'll be talking about how to apply it in all these markets. And at 2 p.m., there's also a work session to go deeper into the Toda as a Service API, technical issues, Q&A to help the teams along. So I do hope that you choose to build on the platform. There's a lot of us here from the Toda Q and Toda.Network teams to help you. And best of luck to everybody. And if you want to accost me and talk about anything, don't be shy. I'll be around all weekend. Thank you.